With the Eagles off to a 2-0 start, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done for this team to live up to expectations, and Jason Kelce knows this as he revealed some insight as to what the current mindset of the team is following some decent but not amazing performances. But speaking of living up to expectations, Jalen Carter's done that so far, but now he's earned some absolutely ridiculous comparisons to some all-time legends, so can he somehow live up to this crazy amount of hype? Also, Nolan Smith had a crazy amount of hype heading into the season, but after a couple games, he's barely been utilized, so what's the reasoning for that? Also, what is Sean Desai prepared to do to get Haason Reddick more involved? And on offense, why don't the Eagles seem ready to use DeAndre Swift as the feature back, despite his career night on Thursday? Well, we're going to talk about all that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So as we all know, DeAndre Swift is coming off an absolutely insane game versus the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I don't think he could have asked for a better performance in his homecoming game, with of course Swift being a Philly native, and that being his home debut as an Eagle. And his efforts earned him some recognition around the NFL, as his 175-yard and 1-touchdown day was rewarded with the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award. So that's obviously a huge honor and something that's really cool to see, and also it was very well deserved. I mean, Swift in that offensive line pretty much carried the Eagles offense all night. As soon as they started handing him the ball more, that's when the offense really started to get going, and just the way Swift ran the ball on Thursday was just so much fun to watch. I mean, he just looked so shifty and explosive, and as Devontae Smith put it,
"You a bad boy. You a bad boy. Hey, that's fun to watch, boy."
So you would think that after Swift had a performance as great as he had, he would have then easily earned the team's RB1 job moving forward, right? Well, not so fast it seems, as Nick Sirianni made it clear that this is still going to be a running back by committee system moving forward.
This is going to be, depending on who gets the hot hand, that's how it's gonna look. Because we know they're all capable of doing what they did, and doing what they've done, and so really excited about DeAndre and his ability of what he showed in the game. We're going to continue to want him to touch the football, but we have just as much confidence in Kenny, and we have just as much confidence in Boston, and we got a lot of confidence in Rashad. So we really like that room, and that's going to look different each week.
And on top of that, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro doubled down on this, as when asked about the team's philosophy at running back, he said, quote, "Not predictable, split, see who's hot, see what the matchup is, interested to see how much Penny gets involved, good to have Gainwell and Swift each with good games, really like the way this is shaping up, Boston will be involved as well. I think the idea is to rotate everyone, keep them all fresh and healthy, and look at this thing game by game. Swift isn't going to vanish from the rotation, Kenny is a very fine back as well, it's a positive situation at running back." Now look, I'm of the belief that Swift's touches should be prioritized over everybody else's in that room, because I think he clearly has the most talent and ability of anyone there, but at the same time, I still like the idea of rotating other guys in and seeing who's hot. I mean, obviously Swift is a guy who has struggled to remain healthy in his career, and if the Eagles were to use him heavily week in and week out as the team's pure feature back, he'd probably end up getting banged up and he'd run out of juice eventually. So I'm definitely not mad at this at all. I still think that a lot of the other guys in the Eagles running back room, aside from Swift, have a lot of ability. They have the ability to contribute positively to this team, and I think that, early in the games, along with Swift, maybe Kenny Gainwell and Rashad Penny should also get some early touches, and then they'll see who gets hot, and then they can go from there. However, again, I do think you still have to prioritize Swift's early touches over everybody else's, because again, he's the most talented of the group, and what absolutely cannot happen is what happened in week 1, where the Eagles were so dead set on having Gainwell get the most touches early, and then Swift barely even saw the field. That's when I'd have an issue. So we'll see if the Eagles are able to avoid making that mistake again, but what do you guys think about the Eagles apparently still going with a running back by committee system, despite Swift coming off a career night? Now, without Swift and the running game's huge night on Thursday, the offense would have probably been pretty lost, because the passing game continued to struggle, and the play calling and execution just wasn't good enough, and then defensively, there were some issues as well. So overall, just throughout 2 games so far, and despite them being 2-0, the Eagles definitely have not played up to their potential so far, and they know that. They know they need to be better moving forward, especially once they start playing some of the tougher opponents they have in their schedule, and Jason Kelce recently revealed the mindset of the team currently as they try and correct some of these issues.
Well, we're 2-0, which is good. But we're 2-0, and we know that we could very easily be 1-1, and we have not played football the way we want to play football yet. So the temperature of the team is a little bit on edge, and I think everybody, feels that. I think that we all understand that we have great talent on this roster. We have great coaches. We have a great organization, and we're sitting here 2-0, but I think everybody is very cognizant of the fact that we need to continue to improve.
So really, you heard it there. The Eagles are not satisfied with where they are right now, and they know they need to improve. They know they aren't playing up to expectations, and that applies to not just the players, but the coaches as well, and others within the organization. So now that the Eagles have had this mini bye week, they've had a good amount of time from Thursday to this upcoming Monday to prepare for the Buccaneers and fix things that they need to fix. Hopefully, we see a team that has looked themselves in the mirror and made the necessary adjustments to improve. Now, do I expect them to be perfect? No, of course not. It's only week 3, but I do, again, expect them to be much improved from where they were last week. Now, if they're consistently having the same issues and things don't really look any better, then I might start to worry a little bit about this team and the issues we've seen so far, but as of now, I'm completely fine with where this team is. But what do you guys think? What's your level of concern regarding the issues we've seen this team deal with so far this year, and what do you want to see from them on Monday to make you feel a little bit more comfortable? Now, something I have been pretty comfortable with so far to start the year is the play of the Eagles' defensive line. I mean, even though the sack totals aren't maybe as high as you'd like, I think that has to do a lot more with the back end of the defense just having to be a little bit better, and if you watch the games, you can see that this defensive line has been pretty dominant. They've been amazing at stopping the run. Through 2 weeks, they have the best run defense in the league in terms of rush yards allowed per game, and they've also consistently been able to generate pressure on the quarterback and make them uncomfortable in the pocket. And arguably the Eagles' best pass rusher so far this season has been the rookie defensive tackle Jalen Carter, as he's been just about as impressive as he possibly can be to start his career off. He already has 11 QB pressures, which is tied for 4th in the NFL. He's got 10 hurries, which is 1st in the NFL, and he's also the highest graded rookie in the entire league, along with being the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And he's done all this while not even being a starter on the Eagles defensive line, so it's crazy to say that he's lived up to the sky-high expectations of what people were placing on him during training camp and preseason, but he definitely has so far. You can't deny it. But those expectations may have somehow gotten even higher recently because a couple of Eagles legends decided to compare Jalen Carter to some of the greatest defensive linemen to ever play the game. So to start out, Hall of Fame Eagles and Rams coach Dick Vermeil in an appearance on WIP radio said, quote, "To me, he reminds me of Reggie White. I don't want to put pressure on him early, but I don't know if he has a limit. If you try to block him one-on-one, it's just a battle you're gonna lose. He is very impressive." Now this is obviously a crazy comparison, but that's not it, as Seth Joyner recently compared Jalen Carter to another legend in an appearance on John Clark's Takeoff podcast, as he said, quote, "He has the abilities of Jerome Brown when I watch him play. In a lot of ways, he looks just like him. The thing about Jerome, he could play all the downs. I mean, he could destroy you in the running game, he could destroy you rushing the passer against a center or a guard, or a combination of the two. When you watch Jalen Carter play, he's of the same ilk. He can dominate in the run game because he's very good with his hands and his feet, and he's just awesome in the pass rush because for a young player, he has counter moves." So these comparisons are obviously insane. I mean, those are two of the best Eagles players of all time. One of them is one of the best defensive players to ever live, and the other was on a Hall of Fame trajectory before a tragedy obviously happened. So for Carter to be compared to these two is obviously a great honor, and it speaks to how impressive he's been so far to start his career, and it's definitely cool to see. However, let's try not to be unfair to the kid. I mean, those are some crazy expectations to put on him, especially just 2 games into his career. Now, I don't think either Vermeil or Joyner intended to put pressure on Carter to try and be as great as either White or Brown were, but still, these comparisons are just getting a little bit crazy. But what do you guys think? Is there any chance Carter lives up to these seemingly impossible standards? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, just like Carter, someone else who had really high expectations coming into the year was rookie Nolan Smith, but through 2 games, Smith hasn't been able to live up to those expectations, but it's not because he's been given opportunities and he just hasn't produced. It's more because Sean Desai and the Eagles coaching staff haven't really tried to use him at all in any type of significant role. As through 2 games, Nolan Smith has only seen 13 total snaps on defense, so a lot of people have started to wonder why he's played so little. Some people speculated it could be because of that shoulder injury that he's been dealing with that he suffered in the preseason, and maybe that's still really affecting him, but according to what Derek Gunn said on the Legal Hands to the Face podcast, it's not that at all. Listen to this.
You know, it's funny, I asked a couple of people in the know inside the organization, I said, hey, wait a minute. Nolan played 7 snaps in the first game and played like 4 snaps the second game. What's the problem? Is it his shoulder? The response I got was, he's a great kid, his turn will come. So based on that, it's telling me it's not the shoulder. From what I'm gathering, he's not ready yet to assume a bigger role. Sean Desai, Matt Patricia are not 100% satisfied with where he is right now in terms of technique and knowing his responsibilities.
So that's really interesting. I mean, I guess assuming that that's true, Nolan still has a lot to learn and a lot of developing to do before the coaches feel confident enough to put him out on the field more. So if that is in fact the case, what do you guys think about it? Do you agree with them giving Smith more time to learn and develop before they put him out on the field, or do you think they should just throw him out there anyway and see what he can do? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now lastly, I do want to touch on one other guy on the defensive line that has been somewhat disappointing to start the year, and that is Haason Reddick, because obviously last year Reddick was just amazing. He was second in the NFL in sacks, but now this year he came in with a thumb injury, and it seems to be affecting him a little bit, as so far through 2 games, he has just 1 combined tackle and no sacks. So he's obviously going to need to be better than that moving forward, even with the thumb injury, and Sean Desai was recently asked about what he's seen from Reddick to start the year, and he had a very interesting answer.
Man, he's been so gritty and so tough. I mean, his play temperament is there. You see him knock people back at the point of attack in the run game and even converting in the pass game, and he's getting there. You know, he's getting around this quarterback, and this is he won't take it this way, but it's a compliment to him that, you know, people are addressing him in terms of chippers and getting people around him, and it's our job and my job and the role I'm in to help him, you know, to get him in some different matchups and different situations, move him around, and we'll continue to be better at that for him.
So I really like what Desai said there. For one, he highlighted that Reddick really hasn't been all that bad to start the year. I mean, if you've watched the games, Reddick has been able to get pressure, he's just not been able to finish with the sack. And just because the numbers aren't there, that does not mean he's not contributing to the game. Plus again, you have to take into account that Reddick is still dealing with that thumb injury, as well as a lot of attention in terms of offenses game planning for him. Now obviously those are 2 things that Reddick is going to have to continue to deal with throughout the rest of this season, but that's why I really liked what Sean Desai said about his role in all this. I mean, he knows he has to be better, and there's things that he can do to help Reddick have more success, and moving forward, I'm going to be curious to see the different ways that Desai tries to use Reddick in order to help him be as effective as possible. Now, on top of figuring out how to be creative with Reddick, Sean Desai and the coaching staff also are going to have to make a decision on what they're going to do to fill the slot cornerback position, and I actually talked a little bit about that in my previous video, and we'll continue to talk about it leading up to this game on Monday. So if you don't want to miss any coverage regarding the Eagles just leading up to their Week 3 matchup with the Buccaneers, or after that throughout the rest of the regular season, make sure you go down, subscribe right now, and turn on notifications. And also, you can go watch that video right here if you are interested. And also, make sure you drop a like on this video if you did enjoy to show some support. And also, leave a comment down below regarding anything that I mentioned in this video. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.